This is where we're at. You can literally do 360. But then once it focuses on the face, it's done.
It's done.
Game over.
Never gonna let you go.
Let's see. Gonna put it here. Is this your first time in Amsterdam?
It's my second time, but first time like for more than a day.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's kind of nice that you're not going to eat them yet.
Yeah.
You can just explore and enjoy it more.
It's a cool city. Like I love the parks, and of course the canals.
Look how pretty!
This is perfect.
I'm so excited for this. Okay, nice. You like my hat though?
I love it. Yeah,
That's my religion.
Sounds
But
like a good religion.
I saw like an actual like hat, and then it was like 60 euros, and I was like, there's no fucking way I'm paying for it. So I was like, okay, I got a €2 hat, and then I just stitched it on myself.
Nice.
That's the commitment.
That's a lot of commitment. That's great.
Yeah. Your mom looks good.
Commitment to the religion.
You know, it's
You'll go to heaven for that.
Universe spends easier for the silly.
It's true.
And I'm not being offensive. I'm saying she looks good, not hot.
I can tell my mom you said she looks good.
Have you heard of the NFTs?
Your mom looks good at NFTs?
No, NFTs. It's like this new thing, NFD instead of NFT.
Oh.
NFD's nuts.
NFTs not. Oh.
Wow.
It took me a long time.
That actually took
I was
me a
trying to
second.
think if like the NF meant anything.
Yeah. Wait, no. But also, do you ever get that? So you're the tech person.
Yeah.
So you're the one that's doing all the code and boring stuff. So
I was.
all the maths.
I was.
How
and
did
I
you
just
end up
respond to
doing that?
messages.
Do
Kind
you
of
see
for
like
fun.
spreadsheets and that just suddenly like makes you tingle?
I used to get really into like data, and so I did computational neuroscience before. My co-founder did too.
Computational neuroscience. What the fuck? What is that?
So we looked at four-dimensional brain data from fMRI, just like lots of data that's like very hazy and like hard to actually like pinpoint to like certain regions of the brain. Like, so brain data is actually a total mess.
So if I'm being scanned and then we're talking about something happy or something sad, it lights up in different places.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then you put data from it,
Yes.
and then you try to figure out what are some correlations and consistencies.
Yes, exactly.
Can you cure my anxiety?
I can try.
Like-
Not through neuroscience.
Then what is the
I can
point?
suggest meditations.
No, but how did you jump from neuroscience to this?
Yeah, I mostly just jumped. I don't know. I like to
Like,
do random shit.
Are you a bit ADHD?
Yes,
Okay,
very
yeah.
ADHD.
You found your place though, because this is a very like crypto in general.
It's a very ADHD
It's,
industry.
oh my god, it's an ADHD and autism cult actually.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, wait. So what is the difference between religion and a cult, like legally in America? Do you know?
Oh yeah, no, I'm
Okay,
curious.
try to guess. What would it be? So
Hmm.
how does a cult become an official religion?
Making a non-profit organization.
No. Like what
Okay.
is like a requirement for it? It's genuinely the fucking weirdest one. I'm really excited. It's a fun fact that I want to announce to the world.
I'm trying to think like, okay, so there's like religion, Christianity. Well, yeah, like there's. I mean, there are lots of religions. I feel like. Yeah, I don't know.
The leader has to die.
Oh really?
Yeah. So someone has to
Wow.
take one for the team if we want this to become a religion.
So if you find someone else wearing
Yeah,
your mom looks
if we-
good hat, you have to kill them, and then you
Okay,
can
no.
have a religion,
I will make merch out of this.
and then kill the people who buy it,
Oh god, no.
or at least one person.
Okay, let's not start genocide here.
I mean, just need to kill one
I think that's
person.
a
I
step
think
too
it's-
far, to be honest.
Homicide though is
Okay,
is
but
better
what
than
if we just
genocide.
find Satoshi and like and he's dead? What if we prove his identity and then
Also,
he's
crypto
dead?
could be a religion.
That would actually be legally a religion, and we
Wow.
wouldn't have to pay taxes. as if we already like. Okay.
I think this has been a productive podcast episode.
Yeah, this is gonna be fun. So wait, okay, we can jump back and forth between the topics. So I'm also very ADHD, so
Good.
we can put that
This will
pan
be
on the back burner
a great
for now.
podcast for
So
our ADHD listeners.
yeah, exactly. There's just so much entertaining. There's like some water moving. There's some. Actually, this is a really good beer. I don't know if I can advertise, but Alpha. Oh god, Alpha. What do you think of alpha males? Alpha males in crypto. Jesus Christ. It's always the
Yeah.
VCs.
Yeah,
It's
these
never the
days,
tech bros. The tech bros can be tech bros, but
tech bros are
what
actually
makes
like a
them
lot cooler than
yeah,
they get credit
what
for.
makes them like tech bros is usually they work out or like they have like they run a podcast. I'm basically a tech bro.
Yeah,
Yeah. My flatmate says that my only redeeming quality is the fact that I'm a woman. Because I'm literally in crypto. I have a podcast and yeah. And I wear a hat that says your mom looks good. Yep.
Do you wear that like most days?
I really like it.
Yeah, I like it too.
No, but okay. So how'd you jump from neuroscience to crypto? Like, was it because also like you did it with Shadi, no?
Yeah.
So you both jumped.
Yeah, we both
Is he
jumped.
also ADHD?
Yes, not as much as I am, but he's.
This is turning into a mental therapy session.
Yeah, actually, yeah, I think he is ADHD.
Yeah. So were you just sitting one day and you were like, how about we just make our own passport with blackjack and hookers?
Yeah,
Like, fuck it.
yeah, pretty much. So we were both doing neuroscience, and we were both a little disenchanted with academia. We liked the questions that were being asked and the direction of the field, but just progress seemed like really slow and painful. There's so much like grant funding, and then the speed of research is very slow, and just the system's very inefficient, and you can't always work on what you want to work on. You're very much like beholden to the incentive structure of academia, which I think, a lot of people say academia is this wonderful place, like the good place. Industry is for like the evil people who want to make money.
It is the good place, but it's so slow. And also, I feel like a lot of research that you do can be literally sold off to like magazines, and magazines benefit of it, or like research papers. My friend she's actually just finished her PhD in neuroscience, and funnily enough, her research is on affective touch. So she studies touching people.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's usually how I start. But she was asking me how crypto or like decentralized technologies can help that, because when she does research, she loses ownership of her research, because then not ownership, but like the paper where she publishes it would benefit from it, because they would sell it. And then, it's just chaos. So I was looking a bit into DeSci, but so you just felt like you were hitting this wall, or like you weren't moving fast enough.
Yeah, exactly. And in crypto, especially back then, there was a lot of intellectual curiosity, and it was really fun just learning about cryptography in ZK. I was like, well, I'm learning more here than I am working in academia.
Yeah.
So, maybe I should start doing this more. Shadi was actually the one who got me into crypto.
Okay.
We did a neuroscience hackathon, and we were kind of like accidentally avoiding each other always. Like, we were both in LA. We were at the same grad school at Georgetown, but we were both in LA during the pandemic doing like a remote hackathon for DC.
Okay.
And he had a project using IPFS for data sharing between neuroscience labs. And I was like, this is the coolest hackathon project, let me join it. That's how I met him. And
So that's how you met him, but you were just never friends. I imagine like two besties,
we are
studying
besties
together.
now, honestly.
Yeah, but like I just imagine you guys like getting to college together, sharing your invitation, and being like, I don't know. I had a whole rom-com in my head.
No, we have pretty much a rom-com actually. Like, I mean, your co-founders is pretty much like your spouse.
Yeah, literally.
Like, he says that he tells his girlfriend that I'm his girlfriend during the day, and she's his girlfriend after work.
She should introduce you as, this is my boyfriend, this is my boyfriend's boyfriend.
Yeah.
Literally. But it's really nice to hear that you guys met at a hackathon, because for me, I'm like, yes, one more. Because I want to show the world how important hackathons are, and this is like proof.
Yeah, I think hackathons are really good for meeting people.
Yeah. It's the best, because I know so many teams that started and met at a hackathon, because then on a conference you chat with someone for like 15 minutes. At a hackathon you go through all the shit together. Like, especially if it's in person, you like figure out how the other person reacts to shit. You figure out how to work together in the best way. What are your minuses, pluses, and sometimes you have to sleep under a table in turns. I think that bonds people.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, sleeping under a table. I mean, I've never done that at hackathon, but I think that would be a good way of
bonding
finding
experience.
Yeah.
But
and like you see how they work too. You know
exactly.
who you work well with, and their working style. Our project itself also started at a different hackathon at East Denver. So.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, I'm very happy to hear that. But then, so what's your dynamic with Shadi? Like, what's your archetypes? How do you work well together? Who's the do you have like a thinker and a doer? Do you have like a person who presents, person who schemes behind the scenes?
Yes, he's a presenter and a schemer.
Okay.
But we both do a little
So you scheme,
bit of
he starts the revolution.
Yes,
Nice.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's actually better than I've ever described it. I think that's a really good description.
Nice. You should
Yeah.
use it for your bios.
Yeah.
But
And we make decisions together usually, which works pretty well. I think it's really important to have a very candid dynamic with your co-founder. So like we don't have any filter with each other. We just
Nice,
tell each
yeah.
other, you know, it's with love.
does it ever fuck you up that you're also friends?
No, actually, like it
It
works
makes it
really
better?
well. Yeah, it makes it
Okay.
better.
That's something that I always felt like you shouldn't work with your friends. But I
Yeah.
also I have a bit of background in photography, and all of my closest friends now are adjacent to photography because we started working together and then we became best friends. And then during work, we would still be like professional
Yeah.
and kind of separate the two. So I really don't see any harm in like working with your friends.
I really don't either.
Yeah.
And actually, like most of our employees are good friends. Like
Yeah.
we've been really lucky. We weren't trying to hire really cool people, but we accidentally did.
Yeah,
And,
that's nice. Yeah, that's things were aligning. No, for me, like with Web3 Privacy now, that's where our work chat is literally, because we're about like 10, 12 contributors, like core, and our work chat is shit posting. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. We make memes. We're like, it's just, yeah, it's very nice because like almost a year ago, I would wake up to Slack notifications, and then it's always like, work, work, work. But then with Web3 Privacy now, it's work, but it's also love and care.
Yeah.
It's like it's so easy for me. Like even yesterday, it felt like a friend's meetup.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, like after a while as well, you start meeting people and knowing them as well that outside of contributors. So they come to privacy meetups as well. And it's like, yeah, it feels cozy, it feels good. And we really separate the work quite well. It's like planning a party between friends, honestly.
Yeah. No, I think it's really healthy. I don't know why there's this idea that you shouldn't be friends with your coworkers. Like I mean maybe at like a really big company it wouldn't work. I don't see why not though.
Yeah, but here in Netherlands, actually, they're very strong about work friendship because every Friday they do like Friday night out, or like not night out, but like they do Friday drinks. And they sometimes even have like DJs and, free alcohol, free snacks for everyone to chill, bond, and like, maybe somebody wants to DJ, maybe somebody wants to like make a presentation. So it's really like team building exercises, but they're fun. So you built a proof of concept at East Denver, which year?
2020 I think.
Oh, okay.
Or
Yeah,
2021.
like literally right post-COVID, yeah.
Yeah.
How, why?
Yeah, so Shadi and I were both done with he was done with his PhD, I was done with my master's, and we were both getting into crypto, and he's like, hey, you should come to Denver. I never met him in person, but I was like, okay, cool, this sounds interesting. And I'd always wanted to build something, and we went to Taekwondo and we started building identity for DeSci.
Okay, so that's why I was gonna ask
Yeah.
you if you ever considered DeSci
We
in
did,
the first
yeah.
place. Yeah.
Shadi is actually one of the people who coined the term DeSci.
Really?
Yeah,
Fuck. Nice.
he was the OG.
Yeah. DeSci. That's a good name, actually.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a great name.
I remember there was a project for DeSci and it was called DeSci Poseidon. No,
Oh, Poseidon Down.
Poseidon. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was really cool. I loved the name and I was like, nice. Yeah.
Shadi is an advisor to them.
The what?
Shadi is an advisor to
Oh,
Poseidon.
nice. Yeah. Cool. I think they're based here actually. I'm not sure though. But
Yeah, they are.
Yep.
Yeah.
okay, so they are the guy. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. But so, why the pivot from DeSci to humanity?
Yeah, I think I was kind of like, look, DeSci is cool, but I think I think the DeSci projects that succeed,
Yeah.
they will like do amazing fucking things, but the chance of succeeding as a DeSci project is very small, in terms of actually changing the incentive structure of science.
Yeah.
I don't see a clear path to do it. And so the identity tools we were doing, like okay, this will work for DeSci, but I think it's really hard to have like a big enough audience for them. And so, we wanted to make a product.
Also, raising money would be so hard.
Exactly, yeah.
Like it wouldn't be sustainable.
Yeah. So we started building for DeSci, and they're like, okay, well, a lot of people need identity. So people were asking, oh, you're building identity on chain. For DeSci, like, we also need identity. So we're like, oh, let's just make a general purpose identity thing.
Okay, nice. Yeah.
And then we realized general purpose identity is like fucking terrible.
What is really needed?
Yeah, it's needed, but identity is so heterogeneous that like each
What's
use case,
heterogeneous?
it's like very
Throwing your sciencey words.
Yeah, sorry.
Let's go. What's heterogeneous?
So you know, like homogeneous, like everything is
The same,
The same, yeah. So
Okay.
heterogeneous is like everything's very different. All
Okay.
the different use cases
Yeah,
of
like the
identity are so
spectrum.
different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like some people need identity in the sense of logging in to
Mhm.
an app. Some people need identity in the sense of like proving that they are themselves.
Yeah.
Some people need it in the
Or a
sense of like
document, like it's yeah.
yeah.
I should have seen Italian once. They just introduced the right like like regular card, but before it was the piece of paper. I still have my old one, and I was like in 2010. I was like, it's a piece of paper. I was looking at it. I was like, anyone could fake it. Like, what if some water gets on it? Like, yeah, there's a cover, but it's like it's useless. So yeah, no, it's
Pretty wild.
Yeah, it's a lot of different stuff. So you were like, let's do something that's unique.
Yeah.
And then you were like, privacy is essential, otherwise the world would be literally fucked up.
Yeah. We started putting scientist identity on chain, and then we're like about to launch a product, and then we said, this is really scary. We're just letting people put their emails on chain and linking them to their addresses, and we're not sure people actually know what's going on, so like we should warn them, but then it's like, should we even ship this product?
Yeah.
So then I started reading
And that was
up
all
on,
during the hackathon.
It was a bit after. So after the
Okay,
hackathon, we're
okay,
like,
yeah.
okay, we need to spin this up into a general purpose
Yeah.
thing and see what other people need identity. And so I was really interested in building identity for wallet recovery
Yeah.
because that was a huge problem back then. I think it's still a huge problem. But there are some,
So seed phrases.
seed phrases.
You should meet my friend Olaf.
Yeah.
He's working on. Were you there yesterday for the conversation? He's working on this thing where it will help recover the seed phrase, basically multi-sig between your friends. And if somebody accesses your wallet, it will be flagged, so you will get an email that somebody accessed your wallet.
Oh, cool, like email-based social recovery.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, and he's working with a good friend of mine, Fed, and he won East Denver a couple of years back as well. And yeah, I think okay. After this, I gotta connect you because you're gonna love this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah, maybe you can like work together on this stuff. But
Yeah.
no, but I also love the fact that I'm like, like good people should stick together and like really just get together, because then something also that I notice is that people, I think my power is that I'm social. My power is that I love talking to people. I love yapping. I'm a huge yapper. And somehow I'm like,
I think that's the best power to have, honestly.
But I thought that it was like just me talking, or like, I just enjoy it. But then I came into the space and I was like, half of the people are artistic, half of the people are too focused on their shit.
Yeah.
So that's why I come in and I'm like, I'm the connector. I'm like, I want to. So this, I can really see you guys working together and getting along. And how people get along is mostly ethos, because if you're getting along just because you both want to make money, good stuff is not going to come out of it. The ethos is not going to be there. You'll be money motivated. But if you're motivated really to make the world better, sometimes it's better to pick the people and then shape the product around it, rather than shape the product and then hire the first person who knows how to do this.
Yeah. No, I think there used to be the mindset that just do well in school, and then like all the cool kids will be working for the nerds. But it turns out that like almost opposite happened, where social skills have been very important. And I think that it's way better to be really socially skilled than to be really technically skilled. I mean, they're both important.
Yeah. But then
yeah.
it's like, it's always good to have a balance. And sometimes, like, genuinely, I hate like, my background is computer science. As soon as I graduated, I was like, fuck all of this, I'm gonna be a photographer. Because I was like, if I sit there staring at my screen, I like it sometimes, but most of the time I'm like, no. So that's why I balance it out. So if I ever started something, I would want to have a technical co-founder who would be like, yes, does the code, and then I do the socials. Is it kind of something that you and Shadi have?
A little bit, yeah. So I've been the nerd, and he's been like the the presenter. I've been the schemer.
Yeah,
and
the schemer.
nerd.
Yeah.
But he's also like a nerd as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
we're both
there's
nerd.
different levels of nerd. It is a spectrum of the nerd, honestly.
Yeah.
But okay, wait. But so social recovery.
Yeah, so we were starting to look into wallet recovery, and then thinking, okay, so identity can be used for wallet recovery, can be used for proof of personhood. And like, we'll build a couple things, see what gets traction, and it turns out, do you remember Andrew Yang, the U.S. presidential candidate from a while ago from New York? He was into crypto, and he was really interested in civic architecture with blockchain, so like voting, stuff like that. He raised an NFT sale for a campaign, and then he was like, oh, we need compliance, we need to show that the people who donated, who bought NFTs, are not from, non-U.S. countries,
Okay.
interfering with election. So we built out a zero-knowledge identity tool to let people privately prove on-chain that
So they did that.
So that was our first use case.
Ah, okay. So that was like a okay.
Yeah. So that's when we're like, okay, instead of just reading about ZK, we're actually going to implement ZK. So we built a tornado cache, but for IDs instead of cache.
Okay.
And yeah, that was fun.
Nice. Yeah.
We're like, okay, now we're working with Andrew Yang. Like we have, some good traction. We can tell people. So that picked up. We started doing proof of personhood for quadratic funding for Gitcoin, and ended up being the case that a lot of airdrops started using Gitcoin Passport.
Is it around the time that World was starting to gain traction?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe
Then,
even before. I think it's before actually.
Why didn't you think of scanning people's eyeballs?
I think the idea never came up. Because we were a bit less interested in biometrics. We're like, okay, we're not going to make hardware.
But isn't biometrics the easiest way to prove a person?
Yeah, I think with the face. And I actually think you don't need an eyeball. I
don't
think
need a what?
An eyeball. I think face is usually good enough, at least for the next 5 or so years. Because AI still can't fake 3D faces. It can fake 2D faces.
Oh.
But there's not enough data on people's faces to tell how, if you make a mesh of someone's face and take all the vertices.
Do you think AI should be able to fake people's faces in 3D?
I think it might be possible.
But do you think it should happen? Because my first instinct is no.
I mean, I think it would be bad.
Yeah, I feel like that would start a whole new wave of shitstorm that we don't need right now. That's why I'm okay, but that's where privacy would come in, because if there's data on human faces and AI cannot feed from it, then we're fine, no? For now.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the reason why we're fine now is because unless you're a celebrity, they're not giving that many pictures of your face. I'll have to make sure not to turn my face too much for this.
Just not enough.
Yeah.
We can just go away.
We can do the podcast like this.
So you were like, okay, tying it to one thing. But then I remember people can choose. So whether I want to do an ID or a passport, what are the options?
Yeah, so I think
I think
yeah, I mean, so government IDs are obviously pretty rigorous in many ways. We've actually gotten, after this whole ChatGPT started the wave of let's see what we can deepfake. We got somebody emailing saying, okay, we've bypassed your government ID detection.
Okay.
And then we talked to the guy and he's like, okay, well, we were able to register one face, but then the liveness check where you actually scan your face and turn it, we couldn't bypass that. We could use a fake ID to register somebody else's name. Yeah. But we couldn't register multiple times.
Okay.
So okay, that's cool.
So you do need to have the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that thing of turning the face is actually quite resistant to AI, at least for now.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's calms me a bit.
Yeah, and that's how phones do the face biometrics. They actually have infrared, at least iPhones.
Oh, okay, cool.
Or some sort of special camera.
Oh, but then sometimes it does fuck up because my sister sometimes is able to unlock my phone with her face.
Oh, really?
We're not that similar. We are quite similar, but sometimes it does that, and we're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's a bit creepy, but it really is in certain lighting or certain yeah.
That is one problem actually with face recognition where irises are better. Where people's irises, I believe,
very specific.
Yes.
Is it kind of like fingerprints? Why irises?
Fingerprints are actually really bad for specificity.
Okay. And what if somebody burns down their fingerprint? Oh my god, what do blind people do?
So,
sorry,
Adar,
wait.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think this is a valid question for biometrics at a large scale.
Yeah.
So India launched this Adar identity system, and they rolled it out to a billion people.
Okay.
And it was really great in many ways.
But then there's customer support. Hello, I don't have an arm.
Yeah, and people would farmers or people who use their hands a lot. They use fingerprint at first without any face or any other biometrics, and so people would get locked out of their money.
Damn. Okay.
Because their fingerprint would change from all the manual labor.
Wow. Okay. So biometrics not good.
Well, I think it's mixed. I think if they're done well, they can be good.
if there's good customer support being like, hey,
Yeah,
my
if there's good
fingerprint
customer
just
support.
changed.
Yeah.
And then I guess involving some medics being like, yes, or like someone who can prove the fact that yes, your fingerprint can change from manual labor.
Yeah.
That's like a whole intersectional thing. Yeah.
Aadhaar was really helpful in many ways, though, and they actually, so a lot of people were unbanked in India.
Yeah.
They had no government ID documents and couldn't get access to finance as
Yeah.
a result. So now with Aadhaar, at least a year or two ago, 90% of Indians had this, and it used to be like, it's actually pretty crazy how far it's changed. Now there's this universal payment interface
Okay.
where people download an app, and once they have their ID, they can start sending funds. And it actually, even sometimes in the slums, like you'll see people
Yeah.
with cheap
With
mobile
that app,
phones
yeah.
being able to pay mobily.
Okay. So, but you don't need to like, I don't know, have proof of address or anything.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
actually, I
Because
don't
I'm
know.
like, what is the difference between that and a regular bank? That's why I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I think you
it's
don't
cool,
need
but-
proof of address. I'm not sure. I've never
Okay.
registered for. I almost did once
Yeah.
when I was in India and lost my wallet and phone.
Ah. You're like, yeah, okay, it's time to get that.
Yeah, because I had a connecting flight.
Mhm.
'Cause Air India is so like, we have like silly airlines in the rest of the world, but like Air India is just like always just like humorously bad.
Okay.
I was mid-air, and then I checked my connecting flight.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, they put me on a connecting flight without telling me that starts before my original flight lands.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, that's funny.
So then I tried to like change a flight,
Yeah.
and I waited
Also,
an hour
like-
in line.
Oh, okay. After, okay, yeah. Damn. Because I was like,
Yeah.
were you doing it all on like shitty Wi-Fi at in the plane, trying to
Oh no,
change your
like this
flight?
is
or,
on.
like,
Yeah, no, this is like a normal booking. They like
Oh.
never texted me or anything that
Wow.
like they changed it.
Wow.
And they used to end all their announcements with Jai Hind, like India is great, but like their announcements would usually be like, okay, this flight's canceled, India's great.
Yay.
They used to be owned by the government, but now they're privatized.
Mhm.
So I think they've gotten a little bit better, but they still do like funny things like this. I went in line to change a flight, and then finally after an hour, they're like, "Sorry, like you need a valid boarding pass to actually."
Yeah.
Like once I reach the front of the line, so like, okay, I'll get a different flight. It's a different terminal. They're like, okay, you have to check in, but I lost my wallet a few days ago, so I couldn't pay for it. So like then I was gonna register for an hour.
Okay, yeah, that would make sense. But then so for example, in this case, you lost your wallet, you don't have your phone, how would you, so if there's Human Passport, does Human Passport have, so for example, if you have a Human Passport, so Silk is the wallet, right?
Yes, we've rebranded it to Human Wallet.
Okay,
But
so
yes.
Human Wallet, so you would have your Human Passport and Human Wallet would be connected to it, so in that case, would you be able to just be like, give me a sec, and then you just log into one thing, and then it has your passport, your wallet, everything?
I wish. I mean, well, yes.
Yeah, ideally.
Yes.
Is that what you're going for?
Yes. So, yes, you can do that. You know, I think it's a long time before airports start accepting that, but,
Well, but
it is possible
in
now.
the
So
future, you know.
if you're listening and you work at an airport, hit me up.
Try to promote it a bit, you know.
Yeah.
Just be like, you know what would be cool? Accepting human passports.
Yeah, it'd be very cool. If you work at any airport, please, you know, I'm Nanak Nahal on Telegram or Twitter, or Nanak at Holland.id. Let's be professional.
Yeah. And this is not sponsored by Air India.
Yeah. We love Air India though.
Yes. Oh, by the way, Air India, if you'd like to, you know, do some reparations, you can hit up this guy and you know, start chatting about the human passport. But so you would be able to log into everything, but then how so the privacy comes in, right? Because first of all, there's a huge need for this, like one thing that you can log into and you have things. But because especially like now the world still in like, I was stuck in Portugal during the power outage. That was an insane experience because then we were like, fuck, but we need cash. We need like all of this stuff. I couldn't access the cards weren't working, all of that. And then, and then I saw how much people do still rely on paper money and all of this kind of stuff. So, but I do feel like in general world, it's starting to disappear. Like for example, here, nobody, like very little places accept cash in Amsterdam. So you do need to have a bank account, you need to have a card. And then, the whole world is just becoming more and more digitalized. So there is a need for that. But then how do you protect yourself from getting completely, totally fucked over by having a unique identity that links to everything. So the tech part.
Yeah, the tech part. So it's been a really, really tough challenge for a while to have these sort of universal identifiers. And I'm not even sure if it's a good idea for there just to be one identifier for everything.
Yeah. What do you mean by one identifier? Is it just one way of proving your identity?
Yeah,
is it
or like,
different-
one account that you use completely everywhere. I
Okay,
think,
yeah.
or unless it's super secure. So I think, we're definitely building Human Wallet to be able to do that, to be secure enough to do that. And
But it's good that you're fully aware of the risks.
yeah,
Because you're not like, oh my God, we're going to do this thing. Like, it's going to be amazing. You're actually like, yeah, maybe it's not a good idea, but we're aiming to be towards like security. So at least like if there's a fault, if there's like some critical mistake, you're not going to just ship it.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's why we've taken about 2 years, I think, to ship Human Wallet. We usually ship things relatively quickly, but we
Okay.
went
2 years in crypto is like 20 years in any other like tech.
Yeah.
It's a while, yeah.
we went super insane on the security, to the extent where we think Human Wallet is nothing's unhackable, but I think you have to be like a nation state to, depending on your security settings. Like, somebody just gonna sign in with their phone number.
Nation
And-
state is in.
Yeah, like, maybe like U.S. government tries to like
Yeah.
hack a Human
Okay.
Wallet, like,
yeah. They would they be able to do that if they really wanted to? Like if not through technology, then through brutal social force. Meaning
Yeah,
like,
like, I
hey, you
don't
have
see-
you have kids, but we'll kill them if you don't hand over the keys or something.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
maybe not the government as it is now, but what if it goes worse and worse? Or maybe it's
Exactly.
already happening. I mean, honestly, don't trust the governments. That's,
Yeah. Yeah, I think like with that much power, like, they could. I think it'd be difficult still,
Yeah.
but
But it
I'm
wouldn't
not
be
gonna put anything
impossible.
past. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the case for any technology, right? Like,
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. Is there a way that it can be completely impossible?
I don't think there's any way. Even something, for example, let's say you have something like Signal, which is super secure, in the sense that there's no centralized service. There's probably, I mean, there is, but like it doesn't have access to the messages. There's probably no backdoor,
Yeah.
but still, the government can just hack your phone, right?
They can literally just tie you up, use your Face ID.
Exactly,
like,
and like not even
literally,
that,
yeah.
they can just like governments compromise phones, like remotely. They're always
Okay,
trying to find flaws in some very low level software running on the phone, where they can send you a PDF and maybe
It's
there's
just a
some
sneaky
bug and-
link.
yeah. And there's some very, very complex stuff that people find in phones. It's like, this must be a government that did it, because it will be like they'll use multiple exploits that nobody's found before. So like they'll find one exploit in, say, Safari,
Yeah.
that lets you install some malware by visiting a website.
Just by visiting.
Yeah, something like
Yeah.
that, or like opening a PDF.
Yeah.
And then maybe the malware can't do that much, so then they'll like find some other bug to escalate the privileges of that,
Yeah.
that nobody's found before. So like,
So technically, like, if my phone, for example, has ever been hacked, I can literally just like do forensics and figure out if it could have been. Is
if
that a thing?
if you know the exploit, like,
If you can feel it in your heart that like
Yes.
something's off, then you can kind of figure it out, no?
I think honestly that might be one of the best ways. Like,
Yeah, okay.
I mean, there's definitely.
So I'm disassembling my phone tomorrow.
I mean, I think for standard malware, there are antivirus tools. There are ways of detecting it, but it's very much a cat and mouse game between antivirus and virus.
Yeah. I feel like most antiviruses don't even work that well. It's just
Yeah,
especially the commercial ones. It's harsh.
yeah. People are always trying to bypass them,
Yeah.
and they help, but
Not too much. Yeah. It's
yeah,
not a
they're not a
reliable,
perfect
yeah.
solution.
So how do you structure security around human passport?
Yeah,
Maybe
so
we should just call it human.
well, Human.tech. Human.tech is.
I like the rebrand.
Thanks. Yeah, we used to have all these scattered products with like different names. It's like, one, we're not big enough to have all these scattered
Yeah,
products, especially with
like-
different names.
It's just no, but it's also easier, like being like something simple, human passport, human wallet, and I love that it's a proof of humanity. Like it really ties into the whole. So the part that I love about Human.tech is the fact that you say privacy is dignity, because I'm fucking tired of hearing privacy is a human right, because I work in privacy, so I hear it all the time, everywhere, from all the privacy is normal, privacy is good, protect yourselves. But it's privacy is dignity is a powerful message, because it's literally, it's dignity, it's responsibility, it's tapping into like more humanity than tech.
Yeah.
So I love that there's an intersection of that.
Yeah, it's like everybody sees you naked, like.
Yeah, literally,
you should
like,
have the right to have clothes.
Exactly, it's dignity, and I love that. This is kind of maybe a bit solar punk as well, being like you're really upholding humanity with technology, and then you're gracing. I don't know, not gracing. Yeah, okay, I'm not gonna go into the whole theatric. You're gracing humanity with security. So how exactly do you do security? What is your program? What's your schedule?
Yeah, so
like, what have you done so far, and what's on the roadmap?
Okay, so this is something that I can talk a very long time about, and I think it's actually a really not a perspective that we hear a lot on Web3 for some reason about security. Like, I think you just think, okay, you get audits, then you're secure.
Yeah.
But audits are super important, especially for smart contracts.
Course, yeah.
But they only cover the implementation.
They only cover the what?
The implementation.
Okay.
I mean,
so
auditors
people
will
using
sometimes, or like how you've actually written the code to satisfy your objectives. It's like you say, like, okay, here's what it's supposed to do, and here's what it does. But like, audits don't usually cover as much if you're doing it the best way. Like, if like your overall security model and threat model is really, I mean, I think in general in our industry we have very immature threat models where we're like, okay, for example, wallets. I mean, I love talking about how terrible security is for wallets right now.
I love how your eyes just lit up.
Yeah.
You're like, yes, let me tell you something.
You know, one of the recent podcasts I was in, I asked people what they think is one of the biggest risks in crypto. It was a security and cryptography themed podcast, and people were giving like these huge tail risks they thought might happen. Like, some people had concerns about liquid restaking. Some had concerns about other things, and like my concern was that multisigs are generally, you know, they're secure, they're considered best practice, multisigs with hardware wallets, and we think, okay, like, you can't get hacked with that. But the fact is, there is a single point of failure, which is a front end, which is like super scary. Like, that's the worst place you should have a single point of failure, because most people are using multisigs from a single website.
Okay.
You might say, okay, the website can actually sign on your behalf, but the website tells you what you're signing.
Oh.
So if you're on the Gnosis Safe website.
Oh shit.
Right.
Okay. Wow.
Let's say
okay,
the
because
website
yesterday
gets
I was signing multisig and I was like, oh, this is so nice and secure and good. And I'm like, now I'm just like, wow. Okay. So if you hack the website.
Yeah.
Or,
exactly.
Like,
if
you hack the website. This is not a manual.
Well, the thing is, a couple weeks after that podcast episode.
No.
Yeah, do you remember the $1.5 billion Bybit hack?
Were you responsible for that?
I don't think so. But, I mean, it wasn't published, so.
Wow. Okay. This is fun. So that was the hack. How did the hack happen? Through the website?
Through the website. So what they did is, no, I don't remember if they compromised the devices
but it
that
was
were
front
running
end.
the website. Yeah, it was front end.
Okay. How do you guys fix that?
Yeah, actually, so the
like,
way.
do you have like something cool? Like
Yeah.
being, like immutable websites or something?
What we do actually is we just don't trust the website. What we say is that there should be multiple transaction simulations, and we actually have the ability to do a transaction simulation and communicate it directly with a hardware wallet. So
Sorry,
there's
all
an
I'm thinking
enclave.
about the memes that I'm gonna make about the Bybit hack on you. It's too funny. Yeah, the scheming begins.
Could do the hacker phase.
But yeah, okay, so you don't trust the websites, and then there's multiple computations going.
Yeah,
on
exactly.
the front end.
Yeah, so the user sees a transaction simulation on the front end, but they also confirm it on another device. And we've implemented the option.
What if both devices are hacked? On
Great
the front
question. So one of
Like,
the
you use a
devices
third
can be a
device.
hardware wallet. So this is like, this is something I think is like really cool. That
There's no way to hack a hardware wallet yet.
Yeah.
For now.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
if you have physical access, there may be things you can do. But
Yeah, it's
yeah, remotely
that's
it's
much
like
trickier. Okay,
yeah.
so you would confirm it So yesterday I would have to confirm it on the website, and then I would have to take out my ledger and then just like confirm it there.
Exactly, and so the ledger will
Okay.
show you the actual transaction
If
simulation.
that's true or not.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it'll say is like, hey, usually on a hardware wallet you just see some like indecipherable message, like bunch of random characters, unless it's a simple like transfer of ETH or transfer of ERC20 token.
No one else is doing that?
No one else is doing it yet.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I think it's like really cool.
Yeah, no, but
Right.
that's the thing that I find fascinating about crypto is because there's so many things that I'm like, oh, somebody's done. No. Like,
Yeah.
crypto has only been around for like a decade. It's really not much time, you know?
Yeah,
And
there's
it's
so
just
much
getting
else to be
better and
built.
better. And like, I love that you found something that's not real yet and you're making it happen.
That's like the only thing that motivates me.
Yeah, it's fun. No, but you
But
see,
as a
like,
result, we just have too many things we're working on, and like we don't even advertise them. It's like we don't even talk much about the blind setting because I think it's the coolest thing. It's like
Yeah.
hard to.
Yeah, I haven't even like, I looked through all your website for all the blocks and stuff. I didn't see this.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
really should advertise it because that would make me feel more secure implementing that with my like business partner.
Yeah. So the main blocker has been that our wallet's still in beta, so we don't want to be like, oh, this is so secure, but it's in beta, and you can't really use it very easily.
Yeah.
But this week we're taking it out of beta, so
This week.
yeah.
So next week, actually, I wouldn't be so bold to assume when it's gonna be out.
Yeah.
But,
So this week means
but,
like this
yeah.
month.
So if you're
In
seeing
crypto
this
terms.
video and it's like completely unedited, just a live feed, that's because I posted it really fast. I just shipped it. I don't give a fuck. Straight to mainnet. So
Straight to broad.
yeah. But yeah, so that's cool. Wait, what are your steps? Like, are you just gonna announce it on Twitter or like
Yeah.
onboard users? Like, I don't know how marketing in that sense works.
Yeah, I mean, I started like this like.
Are you gonna
fuck
send
Kim
out free
Jong-un.
ledgers?
That'd be cool.
It is
Actually, that's a
tricky
great idea.
about sending out ledgers. It's very tricky because then
Right,
it's
because
like
it could be a scam.
yeah,
Yeah.
it needs to go straight to your house. Nobody else has to have access to it. But also like in general, send like gifting ledgers. I think is a good idea because they don't have your like nobody knows that you have it. So if you order it through Amazon, you kind of like tie yourself to having the ledger.
Yeah,
But
we give
then,
like a
yeah,
discount
If
code
it's
or something. for
completely
people.
like
yeah.
if it's completely like anonymous, then it's great as long as you know for a fact that it's not been tampered with.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, all we've done so far is like after the Bybit attack, we're like, okay, even though it's
Yeah,
not
we gotta fucking do
fraud
this.
ready, like yeah, we
no,
gotta.
it's always better to ship it. So that's why
Yeah.
I'm like, this is probably gonna be shipped like tonight, because I don't like, I don't want to do any fancy editing.
Yeah.
No, so
Yeah, after
basically
the
we're
hack, we
shipping
just started
that.
like a fuck Kim Jong-un campaign. And just started to be like, hey, let's make sure this doesn't happen again.
Yeah. If
and
you
then,
see a red dot on any of us, please yeah, it's definitely North Korea.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's gonna be, how are you calling it? Human verification? No.
I think the only name we've called it blind sighting prevention and fuck
That's
Kim
a lot of words.
Jong-un task force.
That's a lot
They're
of
both
words.
a lot of words.
It has to be cool.
Yeah.
It has to be short and cool.
Okay, should we brainstorm? I'm
Yeah,
curious.
let's
You had a good ledger idea. Like, let's see what
Yeah.
else you got.
You're gonna pay me?
Sure. I'll give you a free ledger. Wallet.
Yeah.
the
So
blind
basically,
sighting.
Human.tech is the table. Then you have the human passport. Then you have human wallet. What else do you have? That's it.
Human network.
What's the human
and
network? Is it a social?
Human network is like a decentralized network that we don't
Yeah,
talk
you
much
do
about
realize
it 'cause-
that this table is like a potential for a Black Mirror episode. Easy. I think there's already been some. So security is extremely essential here.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, I can
Nice.
brainstorm.
Like
no, can you try this and tell me what it is? It looks like caramel. Kind of
Yeah,
some
maybe.
weird stuff.
Looks a little bit
I'm
like
just
rhubarb.
curious. Okay, you can eat.
Maybe like
I'm gonna
caramelized.
brainstorm.
Okay.
We can always cut out any parts.
Yeah, I can also save this for later.
It's up to you. I don't care. Human.tech, human network. Anything else?
I think it might be caramelized rhubarb.
Okay, that I want to try. But Human.tech, human network, human.
Human wallet.
Yeah.
And human passport. We have human ID, but we're merging that into human passport
Yeah,
because they're both ID things.
it's
So
the
I
same
think
thing,
just,
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm thinking along the lines of human dot something. I think that's nice. There has to be like, ideally, it would be something like the opposite, like not human fault, because human fault would be clicking on the wrong link, right?
Yeah.
So it's like the
Anti-human.
yeah. Oh my god. Actually, though, anti-human.
Anti-human protection. Yeah.
And then it's anti-human because it's mass, because
Yeah.
it's facts.
Yeah. Yeah, anti-human error. I
And
mean, just
it-
anti-human. Then
No,
we
it's just
can explain more.
anti-human,
Yeah.
Because then
catchy.
it's like, yeah, because it's catchy and it's also like people would be like, the fuck? What are you doing? Because you're like, human passport, human this, and then it's anti-human.
Yeah, you can have it like lunar
yeah.
pun theme instead.
Yeah, and also like, I mean, people hack other accounts, not bots. Bots don't give a fuck yet, for now.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's literally anti-human.
Yeah, and like really the issue is like
It's a
human readable
clickbait.
messages,
Yeah,
right? Because in order to get human readable messages, that's why people are relying on front ends.
human pro.
Yeah.
Anti-human, human pro.
Human pro.
I like anti-human.
Yeah, I
Because
like
it's
it.
also like a clickbait being like, oh, like something bad. But then it's like, no, it's literally to secure you. And people, especially in crypto, they have this much attention span.
Yeah.
And I see, like, I run a newsletter on privacy. And every week or so, I go through all the news, and oh my god, there's a lot of Twitter scrolling and like databases and going through like updates. There's really no centralized version of it, and that's something we're also working on with Women in Web3 Privacy, because we want to monthly have showcase stuff that women have done in tech. But again, my problem was Migla suggested it, my co-founder, core contributor, because it's a collective, it's not like a business, but it's yeah, she suggested it, and I was arguing against it actually yesterday. I was like, look, it's too much work, because I run this newsletter. I know already that just for general privacy news, it takes forever for me to figure out what the fuck like is happening. For women, it's even going to be harder, because nobody's showcasing that, nobody's doing that. And then I was like, hold on, but that's exactly the reason why we must do it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, extra work, great. But yeah, no, it's a lot of, sorry, I got like distracted through 3 topics. But yeah, having clickbait is always good, as long as it's for the good. So if the ethics are in the right place, I like anti-human. We're digging into the funnest part, the security. Okay, so tell me the maths.
Yeah, so the technical aspect of how it works is that we want to make sure that transaction simulation doesn't depend on a device that could be compromised.
Okay, yeah.
So really what it is all about is how you're doing transaction simulation and where, and how you're approving the transaction.
So you would basically have 2 devices.
I have 2 devices, and one of them is an enclave.
What's enclave?
So enclave is a like secure compartment, you could think of it this way, like of hardware, where you can't access the computations. Like you can't read the memory, you can't. So, for example, a lot of devices have an enclave where it can do computations, and usually whatever your computer is running is actually really scary. And another thing that many people don't know, usually if you're like running something on your web browser, every single other application on your computer can read its memory, write to its memory, access it. Like you're just trusting because operating systems were developed in a time where there's a lot of trust. People didn't know how the future would look, and so we just trusted that everything you run on your device is something you can trust.
Yeah.
iPhones have an enclave. It's very limited in what it can do. You can't do that many general purpose computations in
So
it.
you can't do. So basically, you would have to have a device that has that.
Or what you could do is run it in, for example, AWS or Google Cloud or Microsoft Azure. So they have these enclaves
Okay.
that are actually like very, very secure.
Really?
I used to be very against.
When
the
you say
idea of-
Google Cloud, and like I immediately have the sense of distrust and being like, isn't it something we're fighting against?
Yeah, that was my initial instinct. It's like so much better to have one on a device that you control.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, these cloud providers have very good security models around their enclaves, where I think it's actually relatively unlikely that even the cloud providers can see what's going on in them.
Okay.
And they've never been hacked. So a lot of
Interesting.
these trusted execute. So enclaves are also
That's
often
TEs.
called TEs.
Like,
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So enclaves is like in a slightly different term, but it's often used interchangeably with
Okay, nice,
trusted
yeah.
execution environments.
Yeah.
Um,
So you would use that as one thing, and then the second thing would be
exactly.
device,
So
or-
yeah. So the user's device, whatever device they're using, whether it's their browser or their phone, it does one simulation. And it shows them that result, and then the other one is done in this TEE. It does multiple transaction simulations in case like one transaction simulation is compromised. So it uses multiple providers for that, and it comes up with a human readable message saying what does this transaction actually do.
Yeah.
And then the enclave
I love that you say human readable message.
Yeah,
like yeah.
anti-human.
Yeah.
Anti-human error.
Yeah. Oh, Human.error.
Oh,
That's a good one.
that's a really good one.
Human error. Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that could be another domain.
Okay.
I hope there's the .error domain.
.error. Or you can create one though.
Yeah, I hope.
I think so. Yeah, it's possible.
Okay, cool.
But okay, so you have the
Yeah.
the TE, and then you have a random device that you can log into, and it shows you that TE would show you the message, or what?
Yes,
What
the
would it
TE
look like in
will
practice?
communicate with your hardware wallet or other device. Like if you don't have a hardware wallet, you can use a mobile wallet, which is still relatively secure.
Okay.
But for millions of dollars, I think a hardware wallet's better, a lot better. And then it will just show you the human readable message instead of the actual transaction to sign.
Okay.
So your hardware wallet then says this transaction will result in you losing 1,000 ETH and gaining 5 million USDC.
And then
or
you're like,
this is a known
yes or
scammer.
no.
We think this is very risky.
Yeah. Just
proceed
scam
at your own
alert.
risk. Yeah.
Scam alert.
Exactly.
Up to you. Risk it. You fuck around, you find out.
Exactly.
That should be a message as well.
Yeah.
Fuck
yeah, no,
around,
definitely.
find out.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. Like scams, we highlight. We're like,
Yeah.
and so it's your hardware wallet actually doing the second, confirmation. Because I think we have this paradigm of 2FA, and it always means two-factor authentication.
Yeah.
But what's really important, in my opinion, is two-factor authorization, which is really difficult to do.
Okay.
So authentication is showing you are who you are when you log in.
Yep.
But authorization is saying I authorize this particular action. And if you're authenticated, cool. But
So
then
you would
if your
have to
device-
authorize on both, being like yes and yes.
Exactly.
Okay.
So first,
So it's a
authorize on
multi-sig
your-
with yourself.
Exactly.
Multi-sig starts with you. There's so many marketing slogans from this. Okay.
Yeah.
So multi-sig first.
Yeah. It's like a multi-sig with yourself.
Yep.
And like there's an enclave there helping out. Like you get a direct communication channel between your hardware wallet and enclave, and it's like that's like pretty impossible to hack. And nothing's impossible, but that's Yeah.
I mean, when we say pretty much impossible, would be like it could be
yeah.
during quantum revolution, but yeah, for now impossible.
Yeah.
Oh, impossible. Dot for now.
Impossible that for now. Showing confidence.
Realism. But also, okay, so you have these two. So for example, use case. For me to upload my passport, or like, what do I need to do?
Yeah, so to upload your
So I take a picture of my passport.
so we actually don't
or,
upload
like,
the passport anywhere. Well, it depends if you're talking about human passport or like the NFC enabled passports.
Okay, so Human.tech in general, you would just like have an identity of a person,
So it
and they
depends
can
what tool
prove
you're
it in
using.
different ways. Or,
Yeah, so like in human passport or human ID, which we're merging into passport, there are different ways of proving your identity, and you get different stamps for them.
and you get different stamps.
Yeah, so human
Okay.
passport was originally meant for proof of personhood, just like to prevent bots. Make sure that each identity is each person, so it gives you a score based on.
the army of Alina bots. God damn it. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So like, and I think one thing people get wrong about proof of personhood tools is that you prove that you're not a bot, which is like somewhat true, but it's more that like you can have one bot per person. Like you can have one Alina bot,
Yeah.
but you can't
Okay.
have an army of Alina bots.
Fine.
Yeah.
I have siblings. It's okay.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They have similar faces, so maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
you can have small armies, maybe.
yeah, like controlled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if proof of personhood. A lot of people are saying, okay, proof of personhood will help us in the age of AI. I don't exactly believe that because I don't think you'll be able to say this is from a bot or this is from a person.
Yeah.
What you can say is that
This
maybe
person
this is from a bot.
posted,
Yeah,
or-
exactly. But this bot is owned by one person.
Yeah.
Or like
Yeah.
one
It's
person per
under
bot,
this. How do you call it in the armies? You have like the officers, but then you have a commander, I guess.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so like,
exactly.
Commander of the bots,
Yeah.
and then the responsibility falls on the commander, not the bot. So
Yeah.
somebody has, responsibility, or like what's the name, like when you have not responsibility, it's about accountability. So
Yeah.
if the bots fuck up, it's your fault.
Yeah, it's like
So if Alina bots will start making like KKK jokes, it's my problem. It's my PR crisis.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then if that identity gets like, you know, banned from some site, then,
Okay. Yeah.
then it's like, okay, well, you can't make another one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you see this working, like integrating into everything, or like, do you have plans for the domination of the industry, or do you see it happening along with other projects?
Yeah, I think with identity, there's always a multiplicity of tools because identity has so many different, you know, sometimes you want
Or
government
what was it?
IDs, sometimes-
Heterogeneous?
Yes.
Yeah.
Heterogeneous use cases.
I learned.
Yes. Sometimes, you know, you don't want KYC, sometimes you do. And I think if there's going to be a tool that is used everywhere, it's going to have all these options. And that's what we've been going for with Passport. Not to like, you know, dominate everything, but just because we're like, hey, people want proof of
It's an
personhood,
option,
but
yeah.
they want different options of how to do it. So I think this is going to be the way to do it, to embrace that heterogeneity.
Yeah. But then how do you, so let's get into the math talk.
Yes.
So I know, so my limited knowledge of ZKs, there's ZK Starks, there's ZK Snarks. What are you using?
We're using
What's
ZK,
your flavor?
Yeah, so we used to use ZK Snarks, and now we
Okay.
do something different than either of them actually, called vol-based ZK.
The what?
Vol-based.
Vol-based? Okay.
So this is not succinct.
Okay.
So ZK Snarks stand for zero knowledge, succinct, non-interactive
What's
arguments.
succinct?
Succinct is like compressed.
Okay.
So
Is it better?
usually,
Is it better to have compressed or no?
yes and no. In general, yes, but it's also a trade-off between proof over
Scalability.
time. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So for example, like layer 2s really care about succinctness because they're trying to take all this stuff and compress it to something
Yeah.
that fits on the L1. And then, you know, we don't necessarily care about that if we're not putting the proofs on chain though. We don't
Okay.
care how big the proof is.
So you
we
would just locally store the proof?
Yeah, or we just need to present it once.
Oh, okay.
And so the proof might be like a megabyte, but it allows you to take this like huge. So there's a big efficiency trade-off where if you want to prove, for example, an NFC passport, a lot of these passports have NFC chips that you can tap it to your phone
Yeah.
and make proofs about. But the problem is with Snarks, it's going to take so long. It might take like, I don't know, a minute to generate it on a browser. But or more, like, and you also might run out of memory.
Yeah.
But we implemented this vol-based ZK proving system, and that allows you to, you know, just prove things a lot faster with less memory requirements. The proof's bigger, but you don't need to put it on a blockchain,
Yeah.
so it works well for our use
But you
cases.
said that it's only like you only have to prove it once. What about identity theft or if a person dies? What do you do?
So.
The, the light in the eyes is
Death. What is that?
So what happens then? Like, how do you, is there like yearly,
Yeah,
you have to do
exactly.
it yearly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Or
then
yeah.
If
some
I wanted to
expiration
steal someone's
period.
identity and I had their ID and I had access to their devices, I would be able to, if I kidnap someone, would I be able to do that?
Yes.
Okay. Because that's the trade-off where I'm like, okay, like regular documents and kind of stuff, at least you see the person in front of you. You can also like, it's still very human.
Oh,
You
I
can
see what
read
you're
the
saying. Yeah,
you can see the body language or like be like, oh, this person's in distress, something's off,
Yeah.
or something's wrong, or why do they have a drop of sweat while they're showing their document? Maybe
Yeah.
something's wrong. Because a lot of those cases, like especially with like human trafficking or you know like smuggling, like people in trouble, and then the other person just can feel that something's off, and
Yeah.
then report it, and then it gets investigated. But then that's the part where the tech takes away from the humanity,
Yeah.
like from that social part. Is there something that you're doing to like counteract it, or like apart from the yearly things, like yearly check-ins?
Yeah. No, that's a good question, and I think like
Human.therapy. We're like,
yeah. So at the moment of verification, there's still a point where. So it depends on the flow, right? If you touch the NFC passport, we make this fully private so that you can't, you know, nobody can intercept it. But a lot of people don't have those passports. So the next best option for privacy is to do like a standard KYC process
okay.
where they, you know, scan their face on camera, and you know we use like a Web2 provider for that. Then we delete the data after 5 days for customer support purposes. Like, you know, we keep it
Okay.
for 5 days so people can access customer support.
Yeah.
We delete that. And then after that point, it's like an anonymous credential.
Okay.
So if like, you know, when they scan their ID at first, there's a sign of distress or something, you know, looks off,
Yeah.
then the Web2 provider will flag it and be like, hey, this is it. And that often happens. We've seen some like pretty weird stuff in the past.
Sorry, there's like a little duckling making sounds. So you've seen some weird stuff? Like what?
There's this one guy in Bangladesh who was like on a motorcycle and just like stopped it on the road and was like, hey, anybody want to scan your passport? I'll like pay you.
What?
So yeah, we just saw all these pictures this one guy was taking of like all these people in the same place on the road.
It's like mass
by his
adoption,
motorcycle.
straight up.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Mass adoption is
just
fucking
hardcore. Yeah. Okay, how much? Like, dude, you didn't endorse him. Why was he paying people?
So probably because some protocol was
Yeah,
using
like
it for an airdrop.
Ah, okay, interesting.
Yeah. So when you have airdrops, when you have any sort of rewards that you're giving people
So it
will
was
find
in real life airdrop.
Yeah.
As well, yeah.
Yeah.
Like full on. Here's some cash.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
He's like, I'm probably gonna make
Yeah.
$20 from this airdrop. I'll pay people like $3 to,
Yeah. Wow.
yeah,
I love that. Hustling.
yeah.
Hustling for the good.
So it's actually a somewhat common way of making money in certain countries. Like if you can make $3,000 a month on airdrops, then why work? If
Yeah.
you're in a country where you can't make $3,000 a month on a normal job, so there are lots of
And
folks.
still, it's all crypto.
Yeah. Lots of folks in like Bangladesh, Indonesia, where else? Nigeria, who will do that, who will just hunt airdrops for a living.
Yeah. So is your presence big in Nigeria?
Yeah.
I'm advising on a hackathon there.
Yeah.
We need to
yeah,
get
a
in
lot
touch
of-
about that.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Yeah. No, but it's my life is just a string of shenanigans, honestly. But going back to tech stuff, what the fuck are nullifiers?
Nullifiers are ways of proving that you've only done an action once. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
So would you
essentially it
use
nullifies.
nullifier in seed phrase recovery? Would they come in as well? No? Like a proof or something?
Yeah, you
Right?
could, depending on the scheme. Like if you're doing like, okay, somebody with this government ID can recover their seed phrase once, then you could use a nullifier from that.
Okay. So did you come up with nullifiers? Like what was-
No, so the term originated from Tornado Cash
Okay.
to mean that you can only spend a note once. So the Tornado Cash works
Okay.
via notes.
Yeah.
You deposit a note, and then you want to only be able to spend it once. Otherwise, you could just print infinite money. Be like, okay, this is deposited, I'll withdraw it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is deposited, I'll withdraw it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. And yeah, it became very, like a common term for any like ZK secret, like any secret that you'll use in a ZK proof to nullify an action, to make sure you can't do
Okay,
an action
yeah.
twice.
Okay.
So for proof of personhood, for voting, these different use cases, ZK is often important.
Yeah.
To,
So Human.tech runs exclusively on ZKs?
No, so Human ID uses ZK. Human Wallet kind of uses it does use ZK, but very much under the hood.
Yeah.
Uses it for the two-party computation scheme.
Okay. But Human Wallet, apart from being connected to Human Passport, is there some innovation or something cool about it that it's
Yeah,
like,
so
whoa.
the blind signing thing, the anti-human.
Okay, yeah. Or human.error.
Yeah, human error.
Yeah. Or anti-human, depending
Yeah.
how spicy you want to go with it.
Yeah, I think spice is good. There's I didn't say there's not enough spice in crypto, no, but there is enough spice in crypto.
Yeah.
But I think spice sells.
But
in our industry,
good spice.
Good
Because then
spice.
there's a lot of
like anti-human,
yeah,
that's-
exactly. Like, what the fuck is that? But so you're implementing that. Is there anything else? Like nice interface?
Yeah, so
Like something that actually works. MetaMask.
yeah. So the main reason we built Human Wallet, and there are like 1,000 wallets, and everybody's like, it's such a dumb idea to build a new wallet. Why are you doing this? And we're like, no, this is like the most important thing we could be building.
Okay.
And
The most important thing.
I think so.
Yeah.
Because wallets they're at a fork in the road.
Yeah.
And neither option is good.
Yeah. In crypto, we love talking about forking.
Yeah. Neither
So-
option is good though, because
Yeah.
on one hand, we're trying to make wallets easier and easier to use. So you get all these options like Web3 auth, Privy, etc. Dynamic. They're making it really easy to onboard users to your apps.
Yeah.
So they can just sign in with Google or with their phone number, and they get a wallet.
I mean, if I used Human Wallet to buy some meme coins, I would actually find out about Human Passport.
Yeah.
So, okay, so it's a way to onboard.
It's a way to onboard.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the way that onboarding is going, and like it's necessary for onboarding to happen for, obviously
Of course,
for crypto.
yeah.
It has to be easier. But we're sacrificing security and decentralization for that. And not sacrificing in the sense like, a lot of people I think at this point are very comfortable with these sacrifices, like, okay, nobody actually cares about decentralization. But security is starting to become super important because you have, and I've submitted a lot of bug bounties to a bunch of these onboarding wallets.
Okay.
And some very critical, like it's very scary, the security assumptions that are made, because not only can the wallet as a service provider usually access your private key, but also the app can access your private key or sign things on your behalf, and the device can. So it'd be bad enough to trust the device, because devices can get malware. You're trusting every application on your device to not, be malicious.
Also
or
trusting
compromised.
yourself to not click the wrong links.
Exactly. So you have all those assumptions, then you also have trusting the developers of whatever app you're doing, and trusting that the app will not get compromised. Front-ends are the easiest thing to compromise, and your keys being stored in the browser, which is like super, super easy to compromise. And then you're also usually trusting the wallet service provider. So there's so many angles to compromise it, and like it's actually quite trivial to compromise some of these things.
If somebody really wants to get you, they will.
Yeah. And even for like scalable attacks, like for example, one thing that was happening all the time was that these wallets as a service were running in iframes and not having clickjacking protection. So clickjacking is when you make the iframe transparent and you get the user to click something above the iframe. So like an iframe is like an embedded little
like a front end.
Yeah. So like within the front end of the app you're using, there's like a little, maybe rectangle with a wallet. But you can make that transparent.
The world is so scary.
And then you can cause the user to click something within that.
Yeah.
And then drain the wallet. And so then I submitted this vulnerability to a bunch of wallet services. And now it's a lot of them have mitigated it. But not all of them if you want to drain.
God.
Yeah, and there are other things like this where it's just if we want people to actually be using the stuff, we need to fix onboarding.
Yeah.
And I think, still we're waiting for the industry to realize that security has to be improved here, because a lot of these times these applications are not really geared for security.
The more people on board, the more people get fuck around and find out, and then the more people are like, actually, we need something better.
Exactly.
And just like me, they will assume that it already exists. So I'm happy that you're making it happen for them to be like, oh, okay, there's a solution. Now that you explain it, I'm like, okay, Human Wallet makes perfect sense, having it next to Human Passport.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
Like, it's, onboarding. And then, imagine there's a power outage in the whole world. How many people do you think are going to be fucked over by having Human Passport? Like, how dependable do you want to make it? Like, because imagine future future case of like, oh, in 10, 20 years, everyone will have Human Passports. People will stop caring about the paper, having the passport, because they can just show the phone click. And then how, like, it can easily be, like, in quantum, like, there's so many threads. There's quantum computing, there's AGI, then there's, literally not having power, or even as simple as, like, my phone just dying right now. Like, how is there, like, are you also going to provide some support in case that happens, or like what can you do as a backup just to care for people?
Yeah, I think a lot of this ID tech is a good supplement to in-person, physical identity.
But it's not something you want people to rely on.
Yeah, it's not something we want to replace physical identity. I think for people who don't have physical identity, it's
that's essential.
Yeah. And for people who do have it, it can make life easier and more private.
Yeah.
But I think that I wouldn't want to see it completely replace physical identity, but rather supplement it.
Do you see it pushing more people that are unbanked, like don't have physical identity, to rely on this rather than stepping out there and trying to get documents and trying to like keeping it in case of an emergency rather than something that, you know, like
Yeah, I mean, it could be like you can issue digital, and actually we're working on a pilot project with a small government to issue digital, I mean
Yeah.
physical IDs with like a Zika
can you
friendly.
share which government, like what is it? Yeah, okay, no.
Yeah,
No.
I can't.
That's
Yeah.
exciting though.
I can share off the record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but not now.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm so excited that the government is like willing to jump into that. Was there a strong need for it? Was there, let's say, a
Yes.
black swan event or like something big happening where they're like pushed to the wall, being like, we need an alternative?
Yeah. So there's like
Because then I'm like, I don't see it happening in like Netherlands or America right now,
Right.
like because there's no need for it.
yeah.
But then that's where it's like, okay, it's great because you also get more users, you get to test and try out all of the mistakes that you can possibly make with different places, and in the meantime help people.
Exactly. Yeah, I think you know the government that we're piloting out a more physical ID program with is one that doesn't exactly have a functioning physical ID system right now, and they need to
Yeah,
make
no,
one.
of course, yeah. So basically for that, you would have people that don't have documents, verify their ID on chain, and that's it. So they need to have access to the phones, and then with that, they can literally just go to, I don't know, travel, and when they need to check their passport on the border, they can present it. But then would the other border accept it? Would the other country accept it?
Exactly.
Or is it just
like,
internal?
This is one of the tricky things. So, I mean, in this situation, we think that yes, neighboring governments would accept it.
Because they would
but-
know what it is and like have an idea.
Yeah.
So you would have to form partnerships between countries.
Exactly.
But then don't you need, like, how big is your team?
We are roughly 30 people.
You need a lot of support
Yeah.
to talk to governments, to like basically have active contributors in these places locally, especially
Yeah.
to basically lobby for it,
Yeah.
to have someone even come and explain the tech, even if the person doesn't really care that much, it's still a special and gives dignity to provide that information. So do you have like an ambassador program or something like that?
Yeah, so we for this particular project we're working with like a focus group or working group.
So you have like a task force.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
yeah,
Because otherwise, like, time is limited.
exactly. Time is very limited, and it's really hard to pursue a bunch of opportunities at once.
Yeah.
Something that we've learned, you know, with a lot of products that we can focus on like 2, maybe 3 products at a time.
Yeah. But then, yeah, I feel like ambassador, but not like ambassadors and like, because I know a lot of ambassadors in crypto, they just preach the product and they don't even understand the tech behind it.
Right.
Maybe rather than going for ambassadors, you can do more a push of education or
Yeah.
something like that, where it's like workshops and you get airdrop from completing that workshop and actually proving that you understand it. Because again, I feel like education is also dignity and providing information. That's something that I dislike about, let's say, big tech, where we don't know how it works. It's not open source. It's not they don't share the knowledge. But then that's where I feel taken advantage of. Because, okay, one thing is if I don't care and I don't want to learn, I don't want to know how my phone functions for it to work. But what if I do? I don't want to have all of these boundaries to learn more. So I feel like educational programs are the pillar of all of this.
Yeah.
Nice. I feel like I just, I feel like I just said something nice. I'm like, good.
I think in crypto, or at least like the types of products that we like to build, especially with the wallet, for example, it's not obvious why somebody should use it,
Yeah.
which makes it harder to get the product going. But also, I think, gives it a more long-term sustainability when people do
Yeah.
figure out. You know, so education is really tricky because you often have to educate people in like 5 seconds about why they should use your project.
Yeah, that's fair.
And like that's been a big struggle for some of our products, especially Human Wallet. Where, you know, after we talked for a while about it, it's like, okay, I see why you're building it, right?
Yeah, it makes
But,
sense.
like,
Yeah.
most
But it
conversations
took
we
us
have
what, like
about it-
an hour, and plus my preliminary research before that. And like it's yeah. I wonder if there's if you can make a children's book explaining it, you're on the right track.
You know, I think that's actually worth exploring,
Yeah.
making children's books.
No, this is actually something. So I hosted an X
or
space
a
with
cartoon or something.
Right, I hosted an X Space with Jared Hope, and we somehow came to the conclusion that children's education is the most crucial one, because
Yeah.
I'm also a generation 2 of crypto. My dad has been in Bitcoin since the early ages.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I got into this accidentally by myself, because I always told him, Dad, it's a cult. Like, what the fuck are you saying? Like, always a conversation at dinner tables. But then after I accidentally ended up in this, it felt like kind of almost like coming out to him being like that. So I have to tell you something. Don't laugh. And like, I don't want to hear "I told you so." And then
They're like, Mom, I actually like journalism.
right?
Don't
Yeah. Oh my.
laugh.
Oh God, that's coming up. Huh? Fuck. Okay. So.
Okay, now we're getting into
Yeah.
traumas.
But then
Stay
it's
tuned.
yeah. So therapy session. But no, it's but I think I would have gotten into it way earlier if he had a better way of explaining it to me.
Mhm.
Because he was explaining it from a very like technical perspective that I found extremely boring, and it didn't make sense in human terms. So that's where I think also me and Jared were talking, being like, okay, like if there's children books, that would be really exciting, because then also like we're starting to see so many kids of us, of this community coming up, and like people are, you know, bringing their kids to conferences and, you know, just hackathons as well. And we need more support for them to be like, hey, here's what we're doing, rather than being like, oh, mommy or daddy works in tech. But also for us, if we can sum it down to a children's book, we got it. So, and it's the most human thing ever. I think like tales and,
Yeah.
and stories and like all of those like fairy tales.
Yeah.
That's the base of all of us. I don't know one person who didn't enjoy fairy tales when they were a kid.
I didn't, but I still think they're good.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Oh
I just
wow!
didn't enjoy them.
Wow, you must be fun at parties.
Yeah.
Like the fuck? Okay, you didn't enjoy them, but you like stories, no?
I like stories.
You like stories,
I
oh,
like
wow.
children's stories. I just like.
Okay,
yeah, I
maybe
don't
not
know, I
Santa
just-
Claus fairy tales and stuff, but like.
Actually, no, I did like. I take it back. I did like some fairy tales.
Uh huh.
Yeah.
See, so.
I think my parents like raised me with a very specific set of fairy tales, because like in the U.S. at least, a lot of them are very dark.
Oh, it's because they're from Grimm Brothers, no?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, like the real fairy tales, how they are, they're very sketchy. They're not
Yeah.
happy. They're very creepy.
Yeah.
Like
they're
Cinderella being basically like a slave.
Yeah.
Like, and then there's, you know, Red Hood Riding. I don't know them in
Red Riding
English
Hood, yeah, I
actually. Yeah,
forgot what
that's also creepy.
about,
I mean,
yeah.
her a wolf ate her grandmother.
Yeah.
Like it's they're not nice and chill. So we need to create one. I'll be
Yeah.
happy to collaborate on this.
Anti-human.
Because then, like, anti-human.
Anti-human fairy tale.
Children's book, Anti-Human by Human.tech, coming soon to your nearest supermarket. No, but yeah, like having like a crypto children's book, because I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah.
I gotta do it.
I think we should.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's start.
Anti-children.
Anti-children. No, that's Gen Z agenda.
Yeah.
That's the
It's the Grimm
You know,
brothers.
you know how it was. There was a trend on TikTok for like straight couples that are having children, and they're just #breeders. Yeah, it was ruthless. But yeah,
Was it to like encourage like?
no,
in a
the
funny
opposite.
Way?
To encourage not having children, because it's a financial burden, and right now
okay.
we don't know where the world is going. So also like, yeah,
Yeah. Can we?
I don't
do,
know
like,
if it's a good or bad thing, but
Yeah. I feel like our
having
generation
more.
can't afford kids.
Yeah, exactly. But then like having more support would actually fix that. But of course, the governments are not doing a lot about it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, children's books are up next. Tune in for the next episode where we're going to be presenting children's books. All right,
Cool.
noise.